Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, sir.
Awesome, wonderful. I hope everybody's well.
Doing okay. Doing okay.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Everybody else quiet on us.
That's
David.
okay.
Okay.
As long as I got the one
You got
to
it.
know that I'm good, I can
That's right.
That's
get the train
accounted
at the
for.
station. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Katrina.
People get all quiet and stuff, and I know y'all talk y'all's heads off when y'all are in situations where you all are in control, but that's
I'm,
okay.
I'm,
I don't take it personal.
I'm quiet. I'm shy.
What did you, girl? Please, you need to stop.
I'm really an introvert. You
No, you know what? I believe that part, yes, but I
okay?
also know
Okay.
that you know how to work a room.
I know how to work the room, and then when I leave the room,
Exactly.
deuces.
You just shut it down. I understand. 100. All right. Look here, y'all. Good afternoon. First of all, I am glad that I am with my family. It is good to
Okay.
see you all. A couple of housekeeping items. Number one, I don't normally ask a whole lot of favors from you all, but I'm going to do that today. Number one, I need you to write down my podcast domain name. The podcast domain name is guidingheroes.com. 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 I need something from you all. I need you all to go out there and give me 5 stars. And I need you to write down something nice about me and how I have helped you, if at all. All right. I would really appreciate that. I'm trying to get my
Let me think.
rating up in my podcast. I know it takes a little bit. Even Leah Cole can find something
Hey,
uh,
Miss Leah.
positive. Everybody say hi to Leah Cole, y'all. I'm sitting down in the chair and I see that bright face and I'm like, oh man, I actually got to say
Hi,
something
Leah.
positive today. That's crazy. What's up, girl?
Today is your lucky day.
I'm telling you, I am excited about my future because I got Leah Cole in the house. Leah, will you introduce yourself real quick? Everybody needs to know who Leah Cole is. So I'm gonna take a liberty right here. Leah is my person. Leah, look, y'all, let me tell you something. If you want to know how rough I was before where I am now, Leah Cole has been on the journey for a minute and she has a lot to do. And by the way, I'm giving y'all an example of what it is that we're gonna talk about today. All right. So I'm first of all, Leah, I'm glad to see you.
Mhm.
Number two, thank you for spending time in this presentation because you could have been 65 other places. And number three, without people like you, I wouldn't be able to do this presentation I'm doing right now. So thank you for who you are for me. I really appreciate it. Leah, who are you and what you do?
Absolutely. I'm Leah Cole, and I am pleased to be seen, happy to be in this space with all of you. As David stated, we've been on this journey together for quite some time. Uh, I've learned a lot from him, and I know that I'll learn some more from him this afternoon. I, um, I'm a business and real estate coach, also just a growth and success coach in the mindset area. So that's part of why I'm on this call today, too. And have a long history in the real estate business, over 25 years as a broker, as a coach, as a trainer, as an instructor. And I am passionate about helping people develop and grow. So I'm happy to meet you all and to be here.
Leah, I'm glad for you to be here. I really am. Thank you so much. Um, if nobody else gets anything, if Leah gets one thing, it was worth the next 75 minutes. Pam, you're going to get 5 things, so I'm not worried about that. But what I need to do, and Leah, do not be shy today in sharing your experiences. Please do not be shy. We're going to have a conversation today, okay? And I want us to um, interact with each other, okay? This got inspired, and I hope that people don't think that this is the same presentation. And there are some people that might not even have attended this presentation. Last Thursday, so 8 days ago, Emmerich did a presentation, and part of that presentation was around emotional intelligence. Okay. And I came in at the end, but I was listening the whole time. And the thought process that I had was, you know what? This is one of the things we do in Keller Williams, and this is not a knock on Emmerich. Please hear me well, okay? We tell people the what, we don't tell them the how. And I said, okay, I need to at least know my family knows what some of the how is to emotional intelligence. And so I thought I would put a presentation together. This is fresh stuff. It's a new presentation. So there will be some things that you will have heard. There will be some things that you have not heard, but from sources you have heard from. And it is a way for us to recreate something that will be helpful to everybody. Okay. And so I am going to bounce a little bit from slides to website because I want to be able to show you guys some resources where you can build your emotional intelligence. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it, and I'll be good to go. All right. Very good. Okay. Here we go. I think. Come on now. No, don't act crazy on me now. Oh, that was the bottom. Okay, I was at the bottom. Okay, cool. All right. As y'all know, I always like to start with a quote. Um, I was introduced to emotional intelligence by a gentleman by the name of Travis Bradberry. Travis Bradberry wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence. His updated book, believe it or not, is Emotional Intelligence 2.0. I know you all have heard me mention that at one point in time. If you do not have the book, get the book. I want you to become students of emotional intelligence over the next 8 months. The reason why I want you to be a student is something that Emmerich mentioned that might have been glossed over. And I want to make sure that I emphasize this in this presentation. But as you all know, I like to start with quotes. And as I was doing some research, I said, I'll share these two quotes. These are the two most recent quotes on Travis's Twitter feed. And so it was really easy for me just to take a snapshot and put it on the screen. Here are the two. If you can do what you do best and be happy, you're further along in life than most people. My question to you is, are you doing what you are doing? Is that the thing that you're best at? And that's bad English. My mama would slap me on my hands with ending it with a preposition, but I couldn't think of anything else. I was stuck. But Leah knows that I am doing what I do best right now. Matter of fact, there was a time when I came to Leah's Market Center, and as I was driving up, because I would in the morning, I would go sometimes from Columbia, South Carolina, and drive up to Burlington, North Carolina, in the morning to teach at 9:30, so that I could get my head straight about how I was going to deliver the presentation. Right. And I challenged myself one time and said, you know what? I'm going to teach a 6-hour class off of one piece of paper just to see if I could do it. And I
And
did
I
it.
just want to interject and say, I said, oh, really?
Scared to death. How did it go, though?
He did it. He pulled it off.
6 hours off of one page. The reason I can do that, though, is because of the research that I've done and the preparation that I've done. As you all know, y'all have been to other presentations, and this is not about David patting himself on the back. But I take my presentations very seriously. Even when I meet with you all, I don't roll it out. This is fresh new material. Okay. That allows me to go deep in a lot of different places. And you all know, y'all been to classes where people teach the same stuff the same way all the time, and they can't teach nothing else. Right. I enjoy doing this because I know at least one person will get something from what it is that I say. Now, the thing that I have to work on is sometimes you're there for only one person. And I get frustrated sometimes when I know there's more people that should be here that are not here, but that's okay because the one person that's supposed to get what they need to get will get it. If you can do what you do best and be happy, you're further along in life than most people. Leonardo DiCaprio. The second one, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. We have had too many people tell us what we should be doing. And there have been too many times that we have stayed in things because somebody got us in it and we feel obligated to have to stay. And so when we have this conversation about emotional intelligence, it applies not just to other people and how we build relationships with them, it also applies to ourselves and the relationship that we have with ourselves. So keep that in mind as we move forward. One of the things that we must have awareness of is there are 4 scores that people keep on us all the time. And it's important for us to be aware of it because we are always being judged. And people sometimes don't even realize that they're judging us. And yet that is what's happening. Everybody knows about IQ, right? Intelligence. You hear about the Mensa Society. If you can score a certain amount, then that makes you a genius. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. The conversation we're going to have today is about emotional intelligence. So you'll get a lot of stuff about that over the next 60 minutes. The Curiosity Quotient measures the degree to which someone has a curious and hungry mind. Are you curious about growing yourself? Are you hungry for what it is that you envision in your mind? One of the people that I talk about a lot and thank for helping me move forward through the pandemic is my mentor, Paul Martinelli. And he talks about holding your vision. Can you hold the vision that you have in your mind in spite of everything that's trying to take it away? And then keep the hunger to pursue it. When you are high in the curiosity quotient, you can predict the desire to ask deeper questions and experiment to find new and unique solutions. One of the things we're going to talk about is we're going to revisit the 15 invaluable laws today. The first law, which is the law of intentionality. And we're going to talk about some of the gaps that we have, growth gaps that we have that we talked about in the law of intentionality. And then the fourth quotient is the talent quotient, the ability to perceive and use one's natural talents to achieve positive outcomes. It's predictive of how well an individual will perform work that requires his or her talent set. This is what sets you apart from your other real estate professionals. And people don't even realize that they're doing it. That's the reason why it's important for you to put together something called a value proposition. What are the features of working with me? And what are the benefits to the client because they're working with me? People don't really understand the scientificness of that, for lack of a better term, but that's what talent quotient is. They're working to perceive, is this the individual that I should be working with? Okay. Do we take time to think about our emotions? That is what this conversation is about. Do we think about how our emotions were formed in us? Do we think about how emotions are triggered in us? Do we think about how we manage our emotions in a way that helps us be emotionally intelligent? Because when we are emotionally intelligent, it puts us in a better position for success personally and professionally. This is one of the slides that Emmerich presented a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, that I said I wanted to make sure that we did not glance over. Why emotional intelligence matters. It matters because, according to Forbes, 90% of the top producers score high in emotional intelligence. The same study found that those with a high degree of emotional intelligence earned on average $29,000 more annually than those with low emotional intelligence. The reason why it's only 29 because it's an average. KWP people, Leah Cole, are not average people. Therefore, your number should be more than $29,000. Let me help you out. Did you know that Keller Williams considers a mega agent to be someone that has closed $6 million in real estate in a 12-month period? You would think there would be a ton of people that are doing $6 million a year in closed volume. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Try this one on for size. I've talked to you all a lot about the coaching clients that I have that have been with me consistently, that have done things consistently with me at least for 3 years. 80% of my clients that have been with me at least 3 years consistently average $10 million in closed volume. Do you know less than 3% of Keller Williams agents around the world close $10 million in a year? David, why is that true? Partially because they understand it's more than just the mechanics. Y'all remember? Mechanics, motivation, mindset. Mechanics will get you to 6. Motivation, mindset will get you to 10. That's why it matters. It's because that alone will help you double your business. So one of the things I want to recommend to you guys is to write down the domain name myframeworks.org/testmyeq. myframeworks.org/testmyeq. Take an assessment of where you are in this. Remember the 15 invaluable laws, the law of awareness. It is important for you to be aware of things about yourself. Okay? So here's the slide that Emmerich presented in the class. And he talked about Daniel Goleman. All right. So if you focus on Goleman, if you focus on Bradbury, I'm going to give you a third person a little bit later. You focus on those 3 people, you got 90% of EI covered. And you can learn more about that in a way that's going to make you dangerous when it comes to building relationships and getting you where it is that you desire to be. All right. Emotional intelligence is simply this: individuals that have embraced successful behaviors in 4 main areas of social interaction: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. And as we go through this presentation, we're going to talk about each one of these 4 things. Okay? Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Okay? Here is an expanded chart. If you were going to take a picture of something, this is the thing you want to take a picture of right now. All right. Because these are the 4 components. And here are very simple bullet points for each one of them. You all do understand, right? You all do understand. Veer said in the chat box that I'm going to bring up so that I can see it. So you want to be a realtor harder than most think. So you want to be a realtor harder than most think. For you to be a successful realtor, it is important for you to understand that you are not in just the sales business. You're in the relationship management business. Have you heard of CRM? Client or customer relationship manager. There's this tool that's called KW Command that allegedly should be helping you with relationship management. David, how does a CRM help me with these 4 boxes that are in front of me right now? Well, let's walk through it. Working towards shared goals. When you meet someone, you have a conversation and you do a consultation, whether it be on the buyer side or the seller side, is not one of the points of the conversation to understand what the goals are of the client or the person that's in front of you. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you should be meeting with a person every day, minimum. And if that's the case, by the time you get to Thursday, you can't remember what happened on Monday to save your life. And if you're not putting that information somewhere where you can easily access it, you are 2 weeks from losing it. And now you have to be embarrassed because now you got to go back and ask all of these questions all over again. Did they really listen to what I had to say? Is this someone that I can trust with the most important things? This is the things that people are going through. So one of the ways to work towards shared goal is knowing what questions to ask to begin to identify the goals, but then putting it in a place where you can do recall when you stay in front of these individuals. Negotiations. I've mentioned to you all a book by Chris Voss, Voss, called Never Split the Difference. If he can negotiate for people's lives in a hostage situation, he can teach you how to negotiate a real estate transaction. You all must be better negotiators. And negotiation starts with yourself. And then it's with your client. And then it's with the cooperating broker. And I use the word cooperating loosely because people think that this is a competition. And the reality is, if we don't work together, then nobody eats. And I promise you, there's not many market centers and not many real estate offices that are having conversations within 8 days of each other about emotional intelligence. And yet, what did we see in the numbers? What did we see in the dollar amount? So one of the things that we've got to learn is, how do we negotiate and how do we resolve conflict? There's a book by John Maxwell. It's called Becoming a Person of Influence. Being able to influence people is going to get you through half of the mess you got to deal with. Because they're going to say, I don't like the situation and I trust you. So whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. Now, understand that comes with responsibility. So it's important for you to be cognizant of the things that you say and how you say it. Let me give you a perfect example, right? I said the how, not just the what. I had a coaching session today with one of your colleagues at KWPP. And she said, should we be concerned about giving advice? Because I don't want to get into any legal trouble. And yet, these are individuals that look at me as somebody that can help them achieve what they need to do. And my response is, don't suggest, ask questions. One of the biggest challenges in the real estate market right now is helping sellers find new homes. We could tell them, well, why don't you go to an Airbnb, or why don't you go stay with your parents, or why could you do fill in the blank, versus asking a question that generates a thought. Being that I'm going to get you an additional $100,000 for this house, could you not take $2 to $4 grand and live somewhere for 60 days before you get into your new home? Would spending some time with your parents be an option while we find you your new home? You're not telling them what to do. You're asking a question to make them think. Part of an influence is growing people, helping people solve problems. I'll give you this one for free. It's a quote that's on my whiteboard that's been on it for quite some time. There's liberation in being a problem solver. When you become problem solving centric, you will never go broke. Y'all can hold me accountable to that statement. When you focus on being a problem solver for people, you will never go broke. I would argue that I am in Leah's top 5 of individuals that she would call when she's looking to solve a problem. And so take her, multiply that by 20, multiply that by 50. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. We could always want more, but still haven't lost that COVID weight that I need to lose. I'm doing okay. So when you focus on being someone that specializes in relationship management, you're going to be okay because you're going to have referrals coming out of your ear. But this is something that's got to be intentional. This is something that you got to spend time in doing. Social awareness. Look, we all know what we saw with our eyes. And yet, when we got the announcement that the verdict was going to be read within the next 60 to 90 minutes, we still didn't know because of the things that we have gone through. And so it's important for us to sense people's feelings and perspectives about anything related to social um, issues. Because when we're in our professional environment, we've got to be really intelligent about how do we navigate through things that are happening around us. Because you never know who's listening, and you never know if you might say something the wrong way. Still be authentic to who you are, because authenticity is something that impacts your EQ score. Yet you don't have to have something to say about everything. And that's one of the things that Emmert was talking about last week about having control of your natural reactions. Sometimes stuff just falls out of people's mouth, and that's not necessarily the time to be talking about those things. Take an active interest in other people. I might not have been. I'm glad Leah is here because we can talk about real things. Because y'all know I don't like to talk about things you read in a book. Okay. My suggestions, my referrals, my connections might not have been the best, but she will never question me taking an active interest in her success. And I'd rather have a low score than no score because at least I'm on the board. Do you take an active interest in people? Not just about their real estate needs. I had a coaching client I was talking to today, one of my $10 million agents. Her goal is to do 15 million. She's closed 2.6. She's got 2.4 under contract. She's got 7.5 in the pipeline. The goal is 15 million. I'll do the math for you. She's at 12.5 if everything goes the way that it's supposed to go. We had a conversation today and I said, I need you to go back to 2016 and from 2016 to 2019, more specifically, the first quarter of 2019. And I need you to go back to all the people that you sold houses to and let them know what the value is of their house right now. And I said, I will bet you $1,000 your other 2.5 million is going to be discovered in the month of May because of that exercise that you just did. Are we reading the relationships and currents? And are we working with and serving others? I will tell you, putting an additional $50,000 in somebody's pocket post COVID does those two things. We got to stop sitting around and waiting for the business to come to us. It's out there. All we got to do is make the moves. Self-management. We got to check our impulses. Here's a question that I would have you ask yourself consistently. What is an impulse that is working against my success? What is something that is so habitual that if I could break that habit, it could help me be more productive personally and professionally? There's a book called Atomic Habits. There's another book by Stephen Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You got to build your library. What are you feeding yourself, right? The IQ measurement, your intelligence. How are you growing yourself? This helps you be achievement oriented. What am I feeding myself? Not just in books, but what am I watching on TV? What is the food that I'm putting in my body? Am I getting enough rest? What is going to be my new normal come Labor Day on with COVID? Because my bet is even the people who are vigilant, like most of us, about this COVID thing, come August, September, gotta do something. I've shut this thing down for 18 months. Literally, y'all, true story. The weather's nice out here. Still haven't gotten my immunization, but I started looking at Braves tickets. And I was like, man, it'd be really nice to sit outside tonight just to be out. This is the great thing about living in Cobb County. I can literally walk if I wanted to the stadium. We got to understand how we're going to take care of ourselves during this, right? how we're going to take ourselves physically, how we're going to take care of ourselves mentally. We have to have a plan for those things. Living and showing up with integrity. Do we do what we say we're going to do, even when we don't feel like it, and even when it hurts us? I've already told you there's times I don't want to be here talking to you. There's other things I want to do. And yet, I would like to think that part of the reason why I still have the relationship with you all, my family, is because when 12:30 Friday shows up, unless something drastic has happened, I am here. Because that is the commitment that I have. And that's the commitment that you have to be able to show to the people that are in your database. Because it's hard enough as it is for you to find people that you know, like, and trust. Self-awareness. Do you know what you're feeling right now? You ever just stopped for a minute to ask yourself what you were feeling? There was a presentation that we did earlier with you all this year where I challenged you all, and I'll give this challenge again, to find 5 people and ask them this question. If you could describe me in one word, what would it be? And then ask them the reason they chose that word. This helps you become aware of how people see you. That helps with your emotional intelligence, understanding how you show up. Do you understand your strengths and limitations? There's a book called Strength Finders 2.0. Great book. Check it out. There's an assessment that goes with that. You might decide to go do something totally different once you do that assessment. It's amazing how sometimes we do assessments and you're like, oh my God, I had been thinking about that the whole time. I just needed something to confirm that I wasn't crazy. Purpose without priority is pointless. And yet, there are people that still have not identified their purpose. There's a book called The One Thing. I recommend that you all read that once a year. Always revisit your purpose. And I'll take that a step further. COVID/2020 wiped everything out. There are some things that still remained after that, yet this is an opportunity to push the reset button and revisit some things, getting clarity on where I am spiritually, clarity on where I am in the most important relationships in my life, clarity in, am I healthy physically, mentally, emotionally? Do I have my money right? And if not, what things do I need to do to get that square? If you still do not have a budget, shame on you, because y'all know I've talked about budget 73 times in the last 60 months. Where am I in this business? I'm not comparing myself to others. Where am I in this business? And am I okay with that? Because everybody has a different definition of success. With the caveat is, don't minimize the amount of success that you can have to keep yourself from feeling failure. Sometimes we set very simplistic goals because we don't want to feel the emotions around failure. Is my environment conducive to my desired success? Here's one. In 2022, where am I going to go for a week that requires a passport that is not the Caribbean? Because my expectation of you all is to work hard. So when y'all work hard and you hit these goals, you deserve to play hard. I have a small piece of paper upstairs with a short list of locations. I think I will revisit that list this weekend. Because when you have something to look forward to, you'll be amazed at how that helps you with self management. Do I have my mind right? What is challenging my mental sanity? What should I be removing from my life right now? Person, place, or thing? Do I have a growth plan? We spent multiple weeks in the 15 invaluable laws of growth. You all should understand the importance of a growth plan. As a matter of fact, I heard that one of the vendors that you all are meeting with, that's part of the Market Center, is getting ready to take you through some of the 15 laws of growth again. So we're going to continue to hammer this home to you about the 15 laws. All right. I'm going to come back to this in a second because I like this order better. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you have resources. So Travis Bradbury has an article on ink. Are you emotionally intelligent? Here's how you know for sure. Okay.
David, before
Yep.
you move on, can I add something?
Please. Absolutely.
So you mentioned building your library and also revisiting those books.
Yep.
And I'm a big fan of The One Thing. In fact, I would challenge them to read it, not just go back and read it once a year, but read it a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And one I want to add is I went back to Start With Why last night.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just started reading that again last night. And you mentioned purpose without priority. And I don't know how many on the call have actually read that book. But in the book, Simon Sinek mentioned US automakers going to Japan to visit how they, put the cars together and the difference in how we do it here in the US and how they do it over there. And in the US, we determine whether a door fits on a car after we've put the car together. Over there, they determine that before they ever even start the process. And the last sentence in the first chapter says, the last two sentences, it is what we can't see that makes long-term success more predictable for only one. The one that understood why the doors need to fit by design and not by default. So I want to encourage you to either go back and read that book or read it for the first time. Because if we don't know who and why, then that journey is oftentimes for naught.
That's good stuff. Who and why? That goes to self-awareness. The ability to take an honest look at your life without attachment to it being right or wrong. Part of the reason why people don't do that is because they're scared to find out they pick the wrong doors all the time. So now they got to do work versus trying to adapt the parts to fit what I currently have. We got to be okay with looking at ourselves. We've got to find a way to step out of ourselves and objectively take an assessment of where we are and be okay with asking ourselves questions. One of the challenges that we have in self-awareness, though, is we don't have an appreciation for the emotions that we're having. And because we don't understand how to explain it, we just keep it to ourselves or we give up because we're frustrated. Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions. You can find this at 6seconds.org. There's an article that was posted August 11, 2020 at 6seconds.org. Plutchik's Wheel of Emotions. It allows you to go through an interactive model of words for emotions, an emotions list, if you will. There are thousands of words to describe the emotions that we experience throughout our lifetime. How can you tell someone is emotionally intelligent? They have a robust vocabulary when it comes to their emotions. Here's an example of a wheel of emotions. As you can see in the center, the wheel suggests there are 6 core emotions: anger, disgust, fear, happy, sad, surprise. And when you look at the wheel, when you come off the core, you'll see other words that spawn from a core word. I'm angry because that hurt me. And I am devastated about it. Did you see that in the wheel? You all don't things because you all do not do things because you fear rejection. And when I am rejected, it makes me feel worthless. I'm surprised that that lead generation strategy I implemented worked. And I am excited about doing more of that. And because of that energy around that success, I am eager and energetic for more. I am depressed. I'm sad. I am sad about that relationship dissolving. That makes me feel lonely and or depressed. And therefore, I isolate myself from others because I don't feel like being bothered with by anybody. Does this stuff sound familiar? So if you ever have a problem communicating with someone how you feel, don't be too proud to not pull out a wheel. It could be the one thing that opens up a conversation that shifts the relationship in a positive direction.
David, what you know about this wheel?
What do I know about this wheel? Coaches have coaches. Any questions?
I was just in South Carolina. My aunt, well, she's like my second mother, my godmother. She pulled out this wheel. I was going to share it with you, but you beat me to the punch. She pulled out that wheel, and her and another coach was there, and because they coach these teenage young girls, right? And they were interviewing another potential coach. And, you know, they were talking and everything. And then she said, they were getting to a deep part of the conversation. And she said, you know what, let me pull out my feelings chart. And she pulled it out. She said, because I don't know how I'm feeling right now. And I need to really just center in on where I'm feeling so I know where I'm going. And that's what she said. And she pulled that chart out and she got to him. She said, okay, now I'm back in the game. Let's finish the conversation. No lie. That's what happened. And it was this, I know I have it. It was that feelings chart. I'm telling you, David, that's what happened.
I need to get my feelings centered so I know where I'm going.
That's what she said. She said, because in order for me to direct this conversation, because she was getting kind of excited and everything, and to truth be told, her son, which is my god brother, he had just passed. So we were there for the funeral, but we were doing things to get her mind off of it. And one of the things was for her to go into this meeting with this new coach. And when she did, and she was getting excited and everything, and the conversation was just, it was just building. It was good. It was a good fellowship, right? So that was the one thing she said. And she pulled that darn chart out, just like you. And she said, let me get my feelings in order so I know how to direct where to go in this conversation. And after that, the conversation just took off.
How crazy is that one statement, ladies and gentlemen? I need to get my feelings centered so that I know where I'm going. That's wisdom.
And she said, what she said was this. She said, because she's the top leader, because it's her organization. She said, if I don't know which way I'm going, there's no way that I can lead the rest of my coaches. So 2 of the coaches were sitting there. So it was no way she could get them to lead everyone else if she didn't know which way she was going. So as a leader, she's always telling me, did you look at your feelings chart before you sat in that conversation? Did you get yourself in order? It's almost like getting yourself in alignment. When you get your brakes done and all that stuff, you got to get in alignment. And they look at those charts to see where your car is, so they know which way your car needs to be done. Because there's a chart for everybody. There's even a chart on the side door of your car that is a feelings chart for your car, I guess, that lets your car know which way your car needs to go. Same thing.
Yeah. My car is sad because the tires are depressed because they don't have the air in them that they need to have in them. Therefore, it makes the car vulnerable when I drive it on the road to where it is that I want to go.
You better say it. I was about, Pam, I was about to clap. I saw Pam's face. I saw Lee's
Y'all
face.
got that one for free, y'all.
Like,
You understand that?
I saw Lee's face. She was looking like, what?
And he just took it. He said, well, you could take this with anything. I'm like, you see me turn my head the whole time, like, oh.
But is that not what life is about, though? Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real for a second. Let's pause here for a second.
Yeah.
Right? When we can center our feelings, we know where we can go. I'm not going with you. I'm not going here with you in this conversation because I am feeling anger. And every time that I am angry, I operate in being critical of others. And because that, it irritates me and it infuriates you. And that is not how this conversation is going to go. Give this one. I'll give you this one for free.
This is genius.
You can know how a conversation is going to go in the first 3 minutes. So if you want that conversation to operate in happy and surprise, get clear on the statements you're going to make and the questions you're going to ask before you go into it. This is what Emmerich was talking about impulse. My impulse is to criticize. My impulse is to show disapproval. My impulse is to threaten, to hurt, to be hateful, to be mad. When you center your emotions, you know where you're going in the conversation. If y'all just take that, that's good stuff. Because now what it does, it makes you for 2 seconds to pause. And that is an emotionally intelligent person's behavior. Just for that brief pause, I'm going to get control of my emotions because we can't control what we think. We can control how we react. Do not let your reaction be your response. So get you a wheel of emotions in your life. Get this 15 Invaluable Laws book inside your spirit. Let it sizzle in your spirit, as Country Wayne would say. Because this book gives you some keys to emotional intelligence. Remember, I said it's not just the what, it's the how. The law of intentionality, right? The growth gaps. One of it is the mistake gap. I see you over there, girl. The mistake gap. People don't do things because they fear of making mistakes. Full disclosure, I feared presenting new material around emotional intelligence. But here's the thing, y'all. I'm gonna tell you something. This just blessed me. This sizzled in my spirit. I needed Leah to be on today because I needed somebody that I could vibe with as an example of the journey and how these things have blessed us.
And add, David, that he had no idea that I was
None.
today.
David, why am I saying that? Because he always looks out for you. Always. No matter how bad you feel, no matter how lost you are, you have somebody that is an advocate for you. Never forget that. Never. And it just keeps happening. So by the time you get to the 70th time it happens, it's not coincidence anymore. So when we look at the growth gaps, the mistake gap, we got to avoid that gap. The perfection gap, the perfection gap. Emotionally intelligent people don't seek perfection. How about that? They seek done. They seek completion.
David,
Yes.
I heard this morning, and this brings it full circle for me. I
Mhm.
heard this morning, progress over perfection.
Absolutely. Because there's people working for months to perfect something and have zero to show for it. And by the way, the bill's still coming.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're not waiting for you to perfect it. Friday the 23rd is coming. You ain't got time to perfect it. You got to roll it out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about the law of the mirror, in there it talks about guard your self-talk. What are we saying to ourselves? Emotionally intelligent people guard their self-talk. Yeah, I feel a certain kind of way, but I know my emotions now. And because I know my emotions, I can work on not allowing me to go there. And so if you're a person that encourages me to go there, I don't need to be in your space. There are
David,
times, go ahead.
what do you mean when you're saying self-talk? Are you saying like what the noise we're feeding to ourselves? Or
I haven't been able to hit where it is that I want to go. So because of that, I must not have the skill set, or I must not be valuable enough for me able to get where I need to be. Right? Um, Leah, will you do something for me? I want you to be a bit transparent for me for a second, all right? Will you share with the KWPP family what is one thing that you've had to do intentionally with yourself around your self-talk?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's just what you just described. I was, seeking a new opportunity last year, and the outcome was not what I anticipated, um, and that caused the self-talk to go down in a negative spiral and say a lot of those things that David just said. So it was all filled with doubt and negativity about myself, whereas looking at it through a different lens, sometimes after you, fall back and you assess something, you realize that wasn't the opportunity for you. And that's not a commentary on who you are, your skill set, um, your worth, your value, even though that's where we tend to take it, or that's where I took it, or historically, that's what I've done. Is that what you're looking for, David? I mean, that type of,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm looking for,
yeah.
because I wanted Leah to be comfortable enough with that. But I know that one of the things that we both have struggled with is, why will this door not open the way that we want it to open? Maybe sometimes we're not supposed to walk through that door.
Mhm.
Hey, sometimes we are only supposed to stay as long as this, and any day after that
Mhm.
is not helpful to us.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have to stop looking at tails all the time and look at heads.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and when you said, what you said earlier in the call, I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but, when you're doing what you're purposed to do, and I was thinking about this during my thinking time yesterday, that's what energizes me. That's what energizes each of us when we're doing what we purpose to do, what we love to do, versus spending all that time and energy trying to get a door to open that we thought should open for us, or should look a certain way for us. Whereas, let that go, let that energy and headspace go, and put it where you're purposed to be. And
Mhm.
unless you have that self-awareness, you spend that time with yourself and do all the things that David has been talking about today, you're not going to know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. So I just want you guys to understand that you have had a book in front of you for quite some time that's going to help you with emotional intelligence. Now you just got to go back through it now and think about how I can implement some of these things to help me become better and grow my emotional intelligence. All right. There were some things that I read in the article that were so good that I wanted to take them out of the article, add, subtract nothing. I wanted to be able to read it word for word. Here's one: you give and expect nothing in return. Emotional, intelligent people give and expect nothing in return. When someone gives you something spontaneously, when someone gives you something spontaneously without expecting anything in return, this leaves a powerful impression. For example, you might have an interesting conversation with someone about a book, and when you see them again a month later, you show up with the book in hand. Emotionally intelligent people build strong relationships because they are constantly thinking about others. Thank you, Keisha Merritt, for continuing to support me and these presentations that I do, and you putting together the flyers so that people would know. It is disappointing that we don't have 5 times the amount of people on this, because there's some things that have been said that blessed me. So I know if it blessed me, it blessed one other person. The reason I also calling Keisha out is because she knows this is something that I do, because everybody in the market center that's a leader has a book in their hand that's called Business Made Simple. True or false?
So true.
They didn't ask. Matter of fact, Keisha had asked me, why are you sitting in this book? Because I give and expect nothing in return. You will not go broke when you focus on growing your emotional intelligence. Here's another one. You appreciate what you have. Taking time to contemplate what you're grateful for isn't merely the right thing to do. It also improves your mood by reducing the stress hormone cortisol. The stress hormone cortisol. Research conducted at the University of California, Davis found that people who work daily to cultivate an attitude of gratitude experience improved mood, energy, and physical well-being. That's not David, that's the University of California, Davis. I was lucky enough to have one of my mentees come to town. She is going to be a staff writer and a consultant to the Guiding Heroes podcast, which, by the way, for those of you that have just joined, I need you to go to guidingheroes.com this weekend, guidingheroes.com this weekend, give us 5 stars and give your boy a review. All right. She had the audacity to say this morning, as I'm taking her back I was taking her to the airport to get ready to leave to go back to Metro DC. She actually lives in the district. And she said, do you ever just take a morning and just think about all the good things that are going on with you? And I said, I understand that there's 80 to 90% of the people in this world that would trade places with me. And I need to do a better job of recognizing that. And that the journey has been long and yet it has been fruitful. So, my thought process is I've got to do better with this thing called appreciation. Absolutely. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Leah, for that. I also put it in the chat box again. Angel, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Okay. One of the other articles I wanted to put in front of you is an update by Travis Bradberry, 14 Signs You Are Emotionally Intelligent, which, by the way, LinkedIn has some really good articles. Don't sleep on LinkedIn. There's some people that write some really good stuff that's out there. Another article, the third person I wanted to recommend to you all is Justin Bariso. Justin Bariso. So Travis Bradberry is one, and Justin Bariso is another. On the Inc. platform, 13 Signs of Highly Emotional Intelligence. Wonder what emotional intelligence looks like in your everyday life? Here are 13 examples, and we've walked through some of them already. We talked about having a robust vocabulary when it comes to our emotions, and we talked about the emotions wheel. We've talked about the 15 invaluable laws of growth and making sure that we're incorporating the law of intentionality, the law of the mirror. Those are a couple of the laws that will help you with intentionality. Here's another feature of emotionally intelligent people. They exhibit humility. Pride is concerned with who is right. Humility is concerned with what is right. We have to be cognizant of worrying about being right more so than what is right. That's really important. Extremely important, because I think that we turn people off when we are always seeming to be a person that has to be right about everything. Even if most times we are. But the point is that people do not want to operate in the emotion of rejection, humiliation, feeling less than. You pick the word. That's the easiest way to get people turned off with you. The law of reflection, law 4. In Atlanta, we have Coca-Cola, and one of the first advertisement slogans was the pause that refreshes. Emotionally intelligent people know how to pause. I'm getting better. I have to tell you, though, I have to be conscious. I have to tell myself, David, slow down. David, stop. David, look at Braves tickets and think about going to the game tonight. Sometimes you have to break up the monotony of what this thing is called life. What will you do for yourself this weekend that is a pause that refreshes? What is something that you will do at least once a month that you will put on your calendar that you will time block and you will protect that time so that you can reflect and refresh. Because that's what emotionally intelligent people do. And here's the last thing we're going to talk about emotionally intelligent people. They know how to compliment people. On my Facebook page, my personal page, but also in the Guiding Heroes group on Facebook. So if you're not a member of the Guiding Heroes Facebook group, please go there and join the group. I posted an article, 10 compliments that will increase trust with other people. And so I told you guys I was going to come out of my presentation because I wanted to share with you some things directly from the internet. So I've been opening all kinds of tabs. So 10 compliments that would encourage trust. 10 compliments. There we go. There's a gentleman by the name of Neil Raman. Neelraman. And he wrote an article back on April 1, 2016. 10 compliments that will increase trust with other people. And so I want to run through these with you because I thought it might be good for us to talk through them specifically. Number one, things that we can say to compliment other people. You consistently go the extra mile. Keisha, I can only speak for myself. You consistently go the extra mile. Thank you. Two, I admire the attitude you have. Who should you compliment over the next 3 days about their attitude? Because I promise you, there are people that are out there right now that need a good word. It will give them a spark on their journey. Three, I love how you help that person through their challenge. People are paying attention all the time what other people are doing for others. And yet we don't take a moment to compliment them on pouring into others, edifying them, empowering them, educating them, enlightening them in pursuit of their goals and their dreams and the things and situations that they're attempting to overcome. We should let people know we're paying attention and we appreciate you. 4, you're really dressed well today. That would be great if we didn't have COVID. Now, including me, well, at least for me, I don't even care no more. I gave up. But I'm looking forward to getting back to some sense of normal. But I do have sweatpants. I have jogging pants on, y'all. I'm not in my underwear. I'm at least respectful when I get on the camera. I will not catch a charge. All right. 5, you set a great example for others around you. 6, you're always willing to help out. Vera, if you can hear my voice, that one's for you. We need to teach you how to pause. So find balance in those two things. Thank you very much. 7, you walk your talk. Leah, you walk your talk. Sometimes the stick that Leah carries is really big, and people can't handle that stick. And,
You're one of the few who can, David.
and that's okay because we need those type of people in our lives. Everybody, we need somebody that's got the stick when necessary. It is very important. You like to make others smile and laugh. That's one that you all need to go find. Who is your person that always makes you laugh and smile, no matter what's going on in their lives? That's a good one. 9, thank you for being there for me. We should recognize that one person is always there for us, no matter what's going on. 10, you make others raise their standards. These are 10 really good statements to be made in complimenting people. Any thoughts or questions about this presentation?
I love it. This is on
Yeah.
point. This is really, really good. This kind of reminds me of, there's this quote that Nelson Mandela has. I don't know if you're familiar with it, David, because my thing is, people ask me a lot of times, like, why aren't you selling real estate? You're so good with talking and you're so good with marketing and everything. But for me, I like to play the back and help people in the front. Help people work the front. I know for some it may sound crazy because they'll say, Keisha, you could be making tons of money. I get it, love it. But for years, that's been me. But there's this quote, and I had to look it back up again because it falls in line with what you're saying here to me, with how you praise other people and you give other people their roses, right?
Absolutely.
So Nelson Mandela has this quote, and he says, I used to have it on my signature. He says, it's better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger, then people will appreciate your leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, they don't get that. And he lived that, but that goes back to this right here.
Absolutely.
For me, it does, at least. I don't know if that resonates with everyone else, but that quote, I heard that years and years ago, and I've lived by that forever.
Yeah.
David, I want to thank you for sharing this, the 10 compliments. And I was thinking about the thank you for always being there for me. And I think it's important to recognize that oftentimes when we think of someone being there for us, we think of it as being a soft place to land. And when I think of, that is true, as well as thank you for being there for me and not allowing me to go somewhere that I shouldn't go, or even, when it's not comfortable. Thank you for being there for me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You have become a sister to me on this journey. If you get blessed with 10 people in your life that you know without a shadow of doubt, they're going to be straight with you, no chaser, and they're going to be there for you regardless, you are blessed. Because it is hard to find real people that will stay with you through thick and thin. It really is. And when Leah and I, the organized part of the presentation is over. So Leah and I are just going to give you a piece of information. When you look like us and you're in an environment where most people that are successful and are in leadership roles that don't look like us, became kindred spirits because we were both pursuing something that we knew nobody around us, for the most part, was going to pour into. And Leah gave me an opportunity to have a platform to be somewhere. And what I needed to do in the beginning, see the thing, and I don't want to make this millennial, young people, all this other stuff. I don't want to be the old uncle sitting on the porch, but this is what I know. There are people that don't want to spend their own dime to become a multimillionaire. There are people that don't want to get up at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning to go and talk for 6 hours and then pay them for me to come. Y'all follow what I'm saying? And yet, I remember a time, KWPP, I remember a time where I would get up, drive to Burlington or Chapel Hill, North Carolina on my dime to build this business that is now known as DP3. But Leah knew me as David Patterson. A lot of people don't know who I am. To getting up one morning to go from a I can't even think of that vehicle because it's been so long since I drove it. Let's just call it a Chevette. It's not that, but you'll get the point. To go from driving that, getting up in the morning at 4:45, living in Columbia, South Carolina, to waking up at 6:15 with a fresh suit in a bag to go get on a plane to go teach my family at KWPP in the Lexus that I had taken pictures of, and I told people that I was going to buy. And they paid for the flight. And they fed me while I was there, and they made me laugh while I was there. And I came back with money in my pocket and slept in a bigger bed than I did when I started this journey. Y'all with me? It can happen for you. But you got to say to yourself, will you commit 20 years? See, that's where people get lost. But here's where I'm encouraged. I don't have it all figured out, but I got a lot more figured out now than I did when I started this. I'm a little wiser and I'm a little more intelligent about the things I say, the things I do, and the places that I go. So we got to be intentional. We got to be intentional about everything we do. And so you've got so many agents around you that are beating their head against the wall because they can't figure out why can't they get where it is they want to be. It's not just the mechanics. It's the mindset and the motivation. All right. Good talk.
You did it again.
He always does. That's really good.
I appreciate y'all saying that. I really do. I do.
David, I just want to take one moment just to thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of times on these calls, I get on here and the numbers aren't always where they should be. However, the people in the room are where they should be.
Yeah, I am.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
He
sometimes
said
it's not
everything.
so much for you to reach a large amount of people, but I feel that the people that are in the room need to hear a lot of what you're saying. And it's a blessing to have you on a Friday because you wrap up a lot of what went on in the week and you begin the way people should think for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that you realize that because I know that has resonated with me.
I'm so glad that you said that because it reminded me of the other thing that I need from you all. And I want to put, even for those for people that might not have it at this point, I need to put my email address in here in the chat box. Here was the second thing that I was going to ask of you all. All right. The reason why I did this in the podcast studio today is because I had a feeling this would go where it is that I wanted to go to be able to make an episode of this. Well, you all don't understand that people who want to do podcasts on a high level, the biggest challenge that they have is they don't know what to talk about, because this is not about us. This is about our audience. Okay. I need you all to start talking to me about what do you want to hear people talk about on my podcast? Because now I can go and identify the people that need to come on and we can have a conversation about those things. Okay. So yeah, I could go and pick topics and that's fine. But the bottom line is that as someone that's emotionally intelligent, I want to serve you. Right. So I need your help. I need you all to start sending me things that you might have heard in the past that you're like, that's okay. But I like to hear David's take on that. Right. And the people that he's connected with, right? And absolutely, Keisha, we can definitely do that. Um, but I need your help. I really do, because that will help me get resparked to get through season 3 and season 4, because we want to put some episodes in the box and not feel like they were always behind. All right. Leah, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being who you are to me. Thank you for the time. And I'll just be a little arrogant right now. If Leah got something, I'm good, because I ain't seen her in a while and I need to make sure she's good. So if she got something, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Back at you, David. I'm gonna have to hop off because
yeah, we're done.
But thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend. All right.